Yo, what's up, guys? Uh, Ninja Nick 333. Just kind of got back the other day from Collinsville Regionals. I didn't have time to record these last couple videos for this event before I ended up leaving. Had too much to do to prepare and stuff. Unfortunately, kind of bombed at Collinsville. Was one match point away from getting CP. It was pretty rough. Had a pretty rough day with some opponents slow playing me and a judge not giving time extension on a ruling, penalty essentially. My opponent got a double prize loss and we didn't get a 2-minute time extension that I needed to win. Another opponent had those Pokemon sleeves that are impossible to shuffle, so the shuffling time caused us to tie by literally one turn. Moral of the story is I need to buy a new watch. I haven't worn a watch in like a year and a half, so I think that's what's hindering that. Maybe I can improve my pace of play, even though I played fairly quickly the whole weekend. Every time I played against somebody who was like really good, I played against someone from someone's PC, and I played against Frank, have no idea how to pronounce his last name, but it's like Perksic or something. I'm probably butchering that. But like both of our games, like we went to game 3 both times, and we like finished super quickly. So it's like if my opponent seems to know how to play super well, like we get through the games pretty fast. So that's one of the things about regionals is you just go against some people who play slow. So this is the top 8 of the ARG Valentine's Day tournament at Professor Bond's Emporium in Amsterdam, New York. I am on the left with Zoroark, only a few cards off of what I actually played in Collinsville. I'm a super big fan of the deck. Bofa Lycanroc, as I call it, is pretty good, playing both different Lycanrocs, the Bloodthirsty Eyes and the Twilight Eyes. I did not use Twilight Eyes once in this entire tournament, but in Collinsville it was absolutely huge. It won me many a game. And on the right we have my boy Jonboy. He is playing Gyarados. Our friend Alex has recently updated the list a bit, made it a little better. We actually got some ideas from another guy who was at Collinsville on how to improve it even more. The deck is actually really busted. It's a little luck reliant, more than other decks, but it does have a lot of raw power in a one prizer, so it can just one shot a Pikarom if you show 7 energy off the top of your deck. So as you can see, I win the coin flip. I go first. I go straight for the Ultra Ball, for the Lele, for the Wonder Tag, for the Professor Elms in order to set up. I much prefer the Elm engine over the Lily Nest Ball engine. I see the merits to both of them, but I just feel like Elm is more consistent. It does kind of mean that you have to put Lele into play more often than you would like, but Lele is actually a really good attacker in like Zoroark mirrors, so I really just don't mind putting it down most of the time. Even with matchups against Pikarom, like they want to GX and knock out your benched Rockruff, so usually your Lele is safe. And as you can see, I also put down the Ditto, so I get double Zorua, Rockruff, Ditto onto my bench. It's pretty good. And I just passed my turn. I missed the turn 1 attachment to the Rockruff, which is a little upsetting, but you know. As you can see, Jonboy draws for turn, gets his Apricorn Maker. Apricorn Maker says you can search for 2 cards with ball in their name, so like Ultra Ball, Pokeball, Master Ball, Nest Ball, Net Ball, Repeat Ball, Friend Ball, stuff like that. Search cards, essentially. It's a search card for search cards. So he's going to use that to thin multiple cards that aren't water energy out of his deck. He's going to go for double Nest Ball to get double Magikarp into play. You may be thinking, well, why doesn't he play just Elm? He can get 3 Magikarp on the bench. Well, the thing is, on the next turn of the game, he could Apricorn Maker again and get double Timer Ball in order to get Gyarados. So that's the whole reasoning behind that. And as you can see, right after that, he attaches for a turn on a benched Magikarp and immediately goes in for the Let Loose. Let Loose is just like Judge. You bench the Marshadow, and both players are allowed to, well, you can choose to have yourself and your opponent shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 4 cards. He knows that my hand is probably pretty dope, so he's gonna make it 4 cards so that hopefully I brick a ton. Zoroark is known for playing very few draw supporters, so if I don't get a Zoroark GX or a draw supporter off of these 4, I'm probably screwed. Unfortunately, the thing with his deck that I've found out more recently is that the Let Loose actually disrupts him a little too much because there's so many water energies in the deck. It's just highly likely that you can straight up just brick from a Let Loose more than any other deck. But he does end up getting the Brooklet Hill, which actually makes his turn 1 attachment to his benched Magikarp um, a lot worse. He realizes this later in the turn. He should have attached to the active, so because he's going to Brooklet Hill for the Alolan Vulpix. Now, if he were to attach to his active, he could retreat the Magikarp into the Vulpix and then beacon for 2 Gyarados. Unfortunately, since he did not attach to the active, he cannot beacon this turn. He has no way to switch into that Vulpix. So he gets it with the Brooklet Hill, and he's just going to have to pass. So here I go, I draw for turn. Off my, I think the draw for turn I get Timer Ball. Hopefully I can flip double heads. 1 heads there. I think I hit double heads. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I hit double heads. Yeah, so I'm going to search for 1 Zoroark, 2 Zoroark. Yeah. I should really pick the dice up off my Zora. I think I do. I'm pretty sure I do. That Timer Ball top deck is really good because that allows me to get 2 trade Pokemon into play. So I can draw 4 cards a turn now. So the Marshadow ends up not impacting me whatsoever, which is really good. Yeah, see there, I'm putting the dice off to the side now. So I'm going to evolve into Zoroark. I'm going to trade to draw 2. I want to see if I can get DCE before I evolve my active, because if I can't get an energy, evolving my active is risky, because he can knock it out and take 2 prizes. I know how explosive this deck is, even though I've never played against it before. So here I'm going to go and I have the DCE, so I do evolve my active, and I'm going to trade again. My hand is not like super good, but I do get the energy, so I can knock out this Magikarp. Knocking the Magikarps out is a lot easier than knocking the Gyarados out. The Gyarados has 150 HP, which means you have to do the Kukui Devoured Field thing in order to knock it out. Choice Band doesn't add any additional damage. I do use the Bloodthirsty Eyes Lycanroc evolving from the Ditto in order to bring up the Alolan Vulpix and capitalize on John's mistake of the energy attachment choice turn 1. So now he's not able to beacon for the Gyarados. So that is actually really good. Unfortunately, I do not have a replacement stadium for the Brooklet Hill. So he is able to actually get another Vulpix into play. So in all honesty, I should have just knocked out the Magikarp with the water energy, or just not played the Lycanroc and knocked out the Magikarp that was active. I did want to remove the threat of the Vulpix, but like this just seems like a misplay on my part. And as you can see, John is going in with the Apricorn Maker. I personally would really prefer for John to say that he's just going to go back in instead of shuffling before playing the Timer Ball. just because that saves time. That's one of those skills that you need if you're playing in a regional, is you need to be able to like consolidate your actions in order to save time on the clock. So something like this where he thoroughly shuffles his deck, then plays timer ball to search, shuffles his deck thoroughly again, and now he's going to play timer ball again to search after that. Um, if I were him, I would have just Apricorn Makered, said I was going back in, put my deck off to the side, like sideways, like sort of to signify I'm going back in, and then play both timer balls at the same time, flip 4 coins, and see where that gets me. Or I would play the first timer ball, flip the 2 coins, see if I can hold on to the second timer ball. Yeah, so he gets 1 heads off of each of these, which is pretty average. That's pretty good. You don't really need more than that. He's going to search for a second Gyarados now. He's going to evolve one of his bench Magikarps into that. I think maybe one of those he put down this turn, the other one he didn't, so he can evolve one of them this turn. He does have Shrine in play now, too. That is very problematic for me. I have 4 GX Pokemon in play. Those things take Shrine damage. If I cannot find a replacement stadium, which I'm only playing 2 of, that damage is going to start racking up fairly quickly. Especially since these Gyarados are so hard. He evolves straight into the Gyarados, touches an energy on his bench. He's got 2 Gyarados now fully loaded up and ready to go. Now he's going to use the attack, Distilled Blast. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Discard every card that is not a water energy. And then does 30 plus 30 for each water energy that was revealed. Then shuffle the waters back into your deck. So as you can see, he discards the Lure Ball and the Kukui and stuff. Shows 3 water energy, so 30 plus 30 plus 30 plus 30, 120, plus the Shrine is 130, and shuffles those water energies back into his deck. And I forgot about the Lele, because I'm really bad with Shrine damage. I really am. That's like my one big thing that I'm just not good at in Pokemon, is remembering Shrine damage. So even though I remembered Shrine damage this time on my active and on my Zoroark and Lycanroc, I forgot the Lele, because it's like off to the other side and I'm forgetting that it's even in play. And I'm just like, ah, crap. Because it's like I have no plans to attack with the Lele at all in this game, so I'm just like, oh, it's just like literally just a bench sitter, so I'm not even thinking about it. Luckily, our judge did decide to point that out, and I'm like, oh, thanks. You don't want to miss that. Never want to miss Shrine. If you're playing a Shrine deck, always, like, when you pass your turn, just say Shrine. Like, even if your opponent is, like, good at remembering, just say it anyway. Just remind them. So I do a couple trades. I'm really considering what I want to do, because I need Devoured Field and Kukui this turn in order to one-shot this Gyarados. If I Ace Arola, I'm not one-shotting, I'm still two-shotting a one-prizer. So I'm gonna Guzma up, looks like Marshadow, and I think I'm gonna am I cornering here? I don't even remember this play. It's been like a week. Actually, it's been a little more than a week. John's reading corner. Yeah, I used corner. So I'm just kind of like hoping he's not playing Guzma. He has a 1-card hand. So it's like, okay, what are the odds that you're going to Guzma me right here and now? I'm just going to use this this opportunity to try to set up a little more. Unfortunately, it does rack up more Shrine damage. I am trying to go for the one-shot on one of these things, and on one of these Gyarados. I also don't think I had a DCE to attack a Magikarp. Otherwise, I would have just Guzma a Magikarp and knocked that out. Because I think being really aggressive against a deck like this is probably the best course of action. Of course, he top decks the Erica when all that he had in his hand was a Water Energy. So he gets to draw a free 6 cards. Pretty busted. I do think a deck like Gyarados could benefit from playing 4 copies of Erica. Also, Crasher Wake is really good in it. I know he does play Crasher Wake, but I think he could go up to maybe like 3 copies of Crasher. So he's going to Nest Ball. He's probably going to go for another Magikarp if he has one. Or Ditto. Ditto's like the same thing. Ditto's like playing 5 Magikarp. I don't really think John has an out to the corner right now, though. So that really does save my skin a little bit. Now, right now, kind of with my commentary, I'm speaking a little more from experience on what my game plan should be and like how the whole thing works. During this game, I'm actually just figuring out how the Gyarados deck functions and what my options are as Zoroark in order to beat it. Looks like John attaches to a Magikarp and passes, and I have to perform the action of Shrine. He now needs 1 less Water Energy to knock any of my guys out because of the Shrine damage of the returns. That is like super bad for me. It's going to make these Acerola plays really weird. That one Gyarados on the bench is getting dangerously close to being knocked out just from Shrine. It's at 150 right now. So I need to start finding Devoured Field like right now. So I do a couple trades. I still think I don't even have another Zoroark. I do have Pokemon Communication. I think I'm going to go for another Zoroark. I put back in the... Yeah, I put back in the new Lycanroc, the Twilight Eyes. It does literally nothing in this matchup. I did add Diancie to my deck. Diancie and Baby Buzzwole to my deck for Collinsville, which were actually pretty huge and relevant additions to the deck for the meta. Would both benefit this matchup here. But the Twilight Eyes does not really do anything for me right now. So I'm going to bring up... Yeah, so I just get another Zoroark so I can trade, and I got a whole bunch of good cards in my hand now, none of which are Devoured Field, though, which is really making me upset. But I do Bloodthirsty Eyes, bring up a Gyarados, and GX it with Dangerous Rogue for 250 to one-shot it. So here's hoping that I don't get one-shot, so I can Claw Slash it while using Acerola on either my bench Zoroark or the active Lycanroc. So I can two-shot this thing and stay ahead on prizes. I'm just double-checking Crasher Wake to make sure what it does because I've literally never seen it played before. I already knew what it did. I was right. I just wanted to make sure because if you don't see a card very often, you want to make sure you know what it does. You just pretty much every time want to know what a card does. So he discards 2 Water Energy. He gets to search for any 2 cards. I couldn't remember if it was 1 or 2 cards. Or 3. Stay hydrated, kids. So it looks like John's really not sure what he wants to grab. He's got Choice Band on that active now, too. That's, like, really gross. That means 1 less Water Energy he needs to hit off of all of his top 7s with Distilled Blast. So, that's not looking good for me, especially with how thin his deck is now. And he Crasher Wakes for 2 cards that are that are not water energies, so they're not in his deck. And then, of course, John shuffles his deck to burn more time on the clock. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That's definitely a legitimate strategy if you're going for a tie, I guess. But in this current situation, I would have just performed the Crasher Wake and then said I'm going back in, and then use Timer Ball. He hits the double heads to get 2 Gyarados, which is super good. So it's like his Crasher Wake got 3 cards and thinned an extra card from his deck. It's like, oh my god, it's great. So here he goes with Distill Blast. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards, 4 energy, plus the 30, 3, 6, 9, 12, 18, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 180. Oh, I had shrine damage on it already. That's why. So that's exact knockout. So I had 1 turn of shrine damage already on it. I completely forgot about. He hit 180. And then the shrine ticked the last 10 there, and Lycanroc died. So that feels pretty bad. John takes 2 prizes. I've got a Zoroark on my bench that is like super damaged. So I promote that one. I don't think I have a Acerola in my hand. I think the best course of action right now would have been to promote the super damaged Zoroark and tried to Acerola it so I can keep the DCE and put it on something else. However, I don't think I'm doing that. Yeah, and then like promote the Zoroark that has the 20 damage on it. That seems correct. I am in a super bad position now though because he does have 3 Gyarados. And in the and where my 1 Zoroark is like so damaged that in just a few more turns it's gonna die to Shrine. I really think that at this current board state, I really should just be scooping. Because I cannot one-shot. Like, if I can't one-shot this Choice Banded Gyarados, I should scoop. But I'm still, like, not entirely sure. Like, I still haven't created, like, a legitimate strategy to beat the Gyarados yet. Since it is my first time playing against it. So I'm only playing this game out so I can formulate a game plan for games 2 and 3. Plus, I also do feel like I have a chance for some reason. I'm kind of, like, in the back of my mind forgetting that Acerola and Kukui are both supporters and I can't play them both in the same turn. So I go for the Kukui. I'm trying to get that Devoured Field because I want to replace the Shrine. And I don't get it. So at this point, I definitely should be scooping. The counter gain is not too relevant because I already used my GX attack. So that's just something tradable. Multi-switch, I always find is just a bad card in Zoroark. Those were a couple cards that I ended up cutting for the Buzzwole Diancie stuff. I do get the DCE, I have the Kukui. I'm going to just hit him for 140. I'm going to put the counter gain down, it looks like, just to thin it, in case my opponent plays like Judge or another Let Loose. I already saw the one Let Loose, so I'm assuming there might be a second one. I have new Lycanroc in my hand. Like, I'm just looking at my hand trying to figure out my options because I just really have no freaking clue what I'm doing. I'm just like, how do I even beat this? I've kind of like accepted my loss at this point. I just like, I'm like, alright, I'm not advancing. So I say Riot beating for 140. He lives with 10. And all my stuff takes shrine damage. So again, Nick, You should be scooping. Don't know why you're not. You're just bad, and you should feel bad. I love talking to myself like I'm an idiot, because I am sometimes. I really am. There's a water energy now on the next Gyarados. So he's got 3 of these bad boys, all powered up and ready to go. His deck is like 20 cards at most. It's got to almost entirely be water energy. I think it played something like 20 water energy at this point. If you look at his discard pile, there's like 3. Then there's 3 in play, so that's 6. So if his deck is 20 cards, maybe on average half of his prizes at most would be water energy. So that's 8, which would mean there's probably another 7 water energy in his deck of 20 cards, which means he's going to likely hit 3 to 4 every single time he does the attack, but he will be discarding even more cards that aren't it each time, which is gonna... So he's going to be in 2-shot range of doing stuff. And then he's going to discard cards that aren't water energy so that it's even more likely that he does a 1-shot. So he revealed like 3 or 4 water energy. Where's my damage on the active? I'm just like completely confused right now as to what I'm even doing. Did I just not put down the damage on my active yet, or... I mean, I am recording this, it's like 12:30 at night, so... Did I, like, just straight up... So that's 60. Three, 6, 9, 12. So that's 120. Oh, okay. The damage... I see what happened. I didn't have enough dice to do the damage, so I put the world's dice out, which do not show up very well on camera. That's what happened. Okay. So we are at like 190 or something like that. I think that says 180 on the world's dice. This is why I try not to use those when I'm on camera, but I do use those a lot during this matchup. I do remember that now. It's almost impossible to see, but right above the 1 big dice is a 180 marker, so it is at 190. Okay, I got concerned for a second. So, this Lycanroc dying, going into his turn if I don't get devoured field. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. So I'm going to trade, get rid of Choice Band. Choice Band's like literally the most useless card in the entire matchup. That Zoroark there also has a World's Dice on it. Looks like that's a 70. The World's Dice are really tiny. I should invest in TC Evolutions ones or just continue to use the old dice that I have, the old regular dice. John wants to see my discard. He's like, oh, look at all these cards you used up. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I don't want to play that rainbow down. If I wanted to, like, retreat my Lycanroc, I could attach the rainbow to it and it would just die. But I don't want to give John those prizes. I want to Acerola. I also think that turn 1, I discarded my Pal Pad, which is really bad, which means that I only have access to 2 Acerola. My deck is based off of the, like, top 8 OCIC Zoroark Bofo list, with the Bofo Lycanroc. I did cut the 3rd Guzma for Palpad, which means I can play 4 Guzma in a game, or I could play 4 Acerola in a game. So that's kind of the, like, Palpat is just too good not to play in a Zoroark deck. Because it allows you to minimize some of your supporter counts and maximize their usage. So I pretty much did that because I knew Chris was playing Zapdos, and if I had to play against him, I wanted to have 4 Acerola. Because I know he's two-shotting. So I put the Ditto back down. Thinking about reusing that Lycanroc instantly. Probably bringing up the damaged Gyarados to try to knock it out. Or maybe the Vulpix, because Vulpix is an easy prize. So I know that he can't possibly be playing a Alola Ninetales, right? Like, that just doesn't work in his deck at all. So I actually don't like this either. I think you just, like, hit the active, or you hit the Gyarados with the damage on it to take a prize. Because I have to go through at least 2 Gyarados in order to win this game, right? So I think I just hit the active, leaving the Lycanroc in my hand. And then he's got damage on both of those. Oh, also, what I'm trying to do really hard right now is make a play where this Gyarados that's active now is on his bench, and then I bring back Giratina from the discard, put 10 on it to knock it out, and put 10 on another Gyarados so that then I can Kukui. But then I realize that my Gyarados, so he knocks out my active, and then the Shrine kills my Zoroark on the bench. The one that he hit for 120, but the Shrine has been in place so many turns that it's actually done the extra, let's see, it was 120, so it's been in play the 9 turns needed to knock out my Zoroark, and I lose. So we are, how far in? We are 31 minutes in. I should have scooped way, way, way earlier. But I was really, I really thought the Giratina play was going to work. But I also think on that last turn I realized I used both Kukuis. I think I used one. And there's, no way I can get the Giratina back into play from the discard while using Guzma, and then it's just so weird. I don't think I could have pulled that play off in any way, but that's what I was going for. Was putting 10 damage on one Gyarados, putting 10 damage on the damaged one so it gets knocked out. In order to soften up the one, and then just knocking out the Vulpix and let loose for my last prizes. So whatever. I kind of accepted defeat at this point, especially now that I start Lele in game 2. That is super bad. That is absolutely atrocious right now, right? That is literally the one thing I do not want to see is a Lele start against this deck. That is bad. I have a Lele in play for no reason. I have the Raw Elm, though, so I don't have to put a second one in play, but oh man, is this just bad for me. So I put down Zoroark, Rockruff, with the Elm. Do I have the turn 1 energy attachment to Rockruff? Because that is super important. If I do, it's really good. And I do it to Lele. Now, actually, I do think that in this current situation, especially since I am playing the counter game, I think that this is fine. I think that this is actually good. Because now what he's going to do is he's going to attack with that Vulpix with no energy on it. And I can just put a DC down the next turn and one-shot the Vulpix. And if he can't evolve into the Gyarados, I can then start one-shotting Magikarps with just the Lele. So since I started the Lele, this is kind of the play that I'm a little forced into. If I had Zora active or Rockruff active, this would be way better. And as you can see, Jonboy, going second here, he Nest Balls and Crasher Wakes at the exact same time. Props to you for trying to save time. That's how we do this. I don't know what cards he got. He got the Brooklet Hill. So again, like, he did the two actions in one there. But then he could have just said, I'm going back in, put down the Brooklet Hill, and then let loose. And then he wouldn't have had to shuffle that extra time. So I do like doing the let loose before the Brooklet Hill. I think that's really smart. Because if you Brooklet Hill now and get like a Magikarp, then there's less odds of you drawing a Magikarp off of this 4. So if you draw a Magikarp now, then you can Brooklet Hill for another one, because there's less odds of you drawing into it. Like if there's less copies in your deck. So I think he's considering trying to play the Shrine, but he played the Brooklet Hill this turn, so he can't even. I'm just reading the attack on the Magikarp. I'm also reading the Magikarp to see if Giratina can damage it. I honestly would have to read the card again, too, because I don't remember. I think it says just stuff from attacks. Pretty sure. He attaches to his bench Magikarp, which is perfectly good, because he's just gonna... Yeah, he can't play the Shrine. He's like, oh yeah, I remember I already played Brooklet Hill this turn. He's just gonna Beacon now. I'm falling asleep sitting up. Yeah, so he's gonna Beacon. He's probably gonna get double Gyarados or Gyarados Magikarp. Both of those are correct choices. Yeah, I think this is slightly better. Because then that makes sure that you like you want to get the Magikarps down now, so that you can get so that they're there to become Gyarados. So looks like I Brooklet Hill and get a Rockruff. That is one thing to remember, is you can always use your opponent's stadiums against them. So since he has Brooklet Hill, it lets you search for water or fighting type Pokemon basics. So I can search for a second Rockruff right here. And that's really good. I now have 4 cards in my hand, exactly, so I am allowed to draw with Erica. I draw 4 cards because that's how many cards are in play for him. I think I replaced the Erica for a Lily, because that ends up actually being better in most situations. But I did want to try it out. I do get the Ditto down too, so that can become either Zoroark or Lycanroc, or even Muck, to prevent him from let loosing me in the future, and to shut off that pesky ability on the Magikarps, but that actually doesn't matter at all. So I'm probably not ever putting a Muck into play in this matchup. I don't think it really matters. I do Ultra Ball, get rid of the Giratina and the Lele. There's no snowball's chance in hell that I'm putting that Lele down on my bench at any point in the game, because that is super easy of a prize. It takes like 2 less water energy for him to knock it out. So here I go, put down Zoroark, trade, draw Lycanroc, and I think Rockruff or something, or trainer, some sort of trainer card maybe, I don't know. I hand shuffle too fast. I did not get a energy, which is super bad. So I cannot actually knock out this Vulpix. So Jonboy goes. and does double Magikarp on the bench, gets Gyarados, puts down Choice Band, and puts down Shrine, and now I'm actually in tears. Now this is a play I do not agree with. He is going straight for the attack before his deck is super thin. I think that you use this turn to beacon and get 2 Gyarados. Just to have them. Because it's really hard for Gyarados to knock these things out. And there's like next to no way you're going to be one-shotting right now, right? So, I do put the World's Dice into play because I'm tired of using the Weenie Dice. So there is 10 damage on the Zoroark. I am sorry for the fact that you guys can't see it. I might just invest in another dice set specifically for like YouTube games that's super clear to see, like the blue dice. Well, I actually have blue and purple dice. I could just bring those. Maybe just bring like a dice bag or something. I just like to use the World's Dice when I'm playing in tournaments because they're a little easier to use. So here I go. I use Mallow. This is definitely getting me cards. 2 cards that are going to be put on the top of my deck, which I will then trade into. Yeah, I definitely think John should have beaconed there. Yeah, beacon was definitely the correct play. Those things are so hard to knock out. I only play 2 Kukui, and I need to use Kukui to one-shot a Gyarados. So if he has multiple things that I can't easily one-shot in play, like, all he needs is a water energy to attack, and that's going to be super easy for him to draw in that deck. I think that it was fine to just spend the extra turn using Beacon. I did draw the Judge, but, like, I'm looking for stuff. So I don't think that, like, it was likely for me to play Judge on him, and even so, he gets a new hand. So, I'm contemplating what to do. I'm a little unsure. I'm going to Bloodthirsty Eyes, bring up, looks like a Magikarp. I do want to remove these Magikarps from play. It will actually be easier to knock out a Magikarp than a Gyarados. So as long as this Gyarados doesn't do any significant damage, while John has like the small 1-card hand, I'm actually assuming he's holding only the water energy. Just because of how I've seen his deck work, like what the card counts are and everything. So I go ahead and I hard retreat the Lele and use Riotous Beating. I want to, since these Magikarps have such low HP and John has a small hand size, I believe that the best possible course of action is to remove the Magikarps from play while they're still at 30 HP. John's going to most likely continue drawing water energies or unplayable cards right now. So as long as he just doesn't get more Gyarados into play, I'll be fine. And as long as this Gyarados doesn't take a one-shot on anything, I should be fine. I have one more Rockruff in order to use Bloodthirsty Eyes. And see, John is forced to attack now. And he only gets 2 water energy and discards a whole bunch of other resources. Like, he could have really used that Erika's to draw into these Gyarados. He's discarded 2 Gyarados now as well. And I think he might have discarded a Lure Ball so far. I don't remember if that was this game or last game. If he did discard Lure Ball, that's like super huge for me. If you guys don't know what Lure Ball does, searchable by Apricorn Maker as well. It lets you flip 3 coins and you take an evolution Pokemon from your discard pile and put it in your hand for each heads. So if you could flip 3 heads, you can get 3 Gyarados from your discard pile, put them back in your hand. You can like rescue Stretcher, put like 3 Magikarp back in, Crash or Wake for 2 of them, and then next turn like you lure ball, and then you get the Gyaradoses back and you put those down. So like that's kind of the idea behind this. I'm not sure if lure ball is actually correct or not. I'm sure there's some sort of better option, but that's what they were playing. That's what they were thinking was working. And honestly, it's not bad. But I don't think I've ever seen John play it once in this matchup. So looks like I get Ace Rolla. I think that I have over 100 damage on me because of his attack right now. So I Ace Rolla my active. I put up a guy with I think like 20 or 30 on it. Because I think the likelihood of him knocking it out isn't that high. I can also two-shot him. And I put another Ditto down. What I'm attempting to do is, because of the shrine, I want to like kind of Acerola and reuse my Bloodthirsty Eyes multiple times to bring up Magikarps and stuff. And right here, I do Riotous Beating for the 120, softening up this Gyarados that has 30 left. So John draws, I think it is yet another Water Energy. Here he goes, he attaches it to a Magikarp, and he uses Distill Blast, discarding Lure Ball as a way to get back the Gyaradoses that have been discarded. Abercorn Makers, Ericas, Guzmas, all gone. I think that's an Erica. Pretty sure that's an Erica. I only gets like 2 or 3 water energy. Does some minimal damage. Looks like over 100 though still because of the base 60 from the Choice Band. It's base 30 with an extra 30 from Choice Band, plus the 30 for each water energy. I have a lot of cards in hand. Not quite sure what I want to play. Looks like I'm going to trade away Ultra Ball. That's fine. I'm already holding some Pokemon in my hand, it looks like. So I don't really need to search for anything right now. I think I have the Lycanroc. Yeah, I do have the new Lycanroc. Ooh, you know what I could do right here? I think I misplay it. I think I get a little too excited and misplay it. I'm pretty sure I do. Because what I can do right now is I can Lycanroc, discard the active Gyarados' water energy with the Twilight Eyes, then Guzma, knock out Magikarp. And then if he doesn't have water energy in hand, he whiffs an attack. Of course, it's super likely that he has a water energy in his hand, but like it forces the water energy. You know what I mean? You always want to force your opponent to play more cards. Actually, this is better anyway. So since I'm not using Guzma, it is better to just evolve into the Bloodthirsty Eyes Lycanroc. And it looks like I'm trying to attempt to set up a GX attack as well. Because I do know that like I'm most likely going to be knocking out the one Gyarados that's already damaged, but if he gets another one into play, he's going to have 3 bench Pokemon exactly. And then I can just GX it with Lycanroc. And if not, if he only has 2, then I can, well, I guess I can't Kukui. That wouldn't work. I would just Claw Slash, I guess, but he's going to search for, he's going to use Beacon, he's going to search for Ditto Gyarados, just to try to set up more. He's going to try to evolve that Magikarp into Gyarados, then he's going to put down the Ditto Prism Star. So here I go. I'm trying to attempt to think of what exactly it is I want to do here. I don't know what resources I have available besides a bunch of energy. I could always, yeah, so I was just trying to think of what to do. And it looks like I top deck Acerola. That's actually pretty sweet. I do have the Devoured Field in play, so all that shrine damage had been stopped. I do know I have like more than 100 damage on my Zoroark. I think what it is, I do prefer to have Guzma in this situation because I want to remove the last Magikarp. because I want to make sure that that does not evolve next turn, because that's going to be so much harder to knock out. I don't want to have to be forced into a GX attack, especially if I do take a knockout this turn on this Vulpix. Then he's not going to bench another Pokemon. I'm not going to be able to GX knock out that one. And it could put John in more of a commanding position. So, looks like I am doing the Guzma play since I drew it off of one of my trades. We're going to go in Guzma, bring up the Magikarp, put up a fresh Zoroark, and we are going to ride a speeding and take that one little fishy prize. He promotes the Gyarados yet again. He puts down the Ditto Prism Star. He now has a dead Gyarados in his hand. He does have the Ditto Prism Star, which can become Gyarados next turn. So I do want to try to Guzma knock that out. He's going to use Distilled Blast. He's going to really hope for a one-shot and discards way too many trainer cards. I think he's laughing at this point too. Yeah, he's like darn! And he's like slams his fist on the table. He only gets 2 energy, and he discards all of these other cards. It's absolutely insane. There's no reason he should be whiffing this many knockouts. Look at how small his deck is. How many water energy did he prize? It's absolutely insane. So this is going super in my favor. I'm using the real dice now. Make a decision, Nick. This is a really pivotal turn because this essentially wins me the game if I can do this. So trade. Didn't use my last trade yet. I'm considering my option. I have a lot of cards in my hand, so I have to keep looking through it to remember what I even have. Looks like I'm trying to decide what I want to attack with. Looks like I'm going... Like, I wouldn't mind attacking with Lycanroc, actually. Because then that gives you the option to GX anything that comes out the next turn. But this is just as fine. Like, it really doesn't matter what I attack with. I think my reasoning for doing this is because then the DCE goes to a Zoroark, and then I can save the Lycanroc. Like, I can just use a fighting energy with it. So I decided I was going to attack with the DCE. Really, I could have just put up the other Zoroark. There is another Zoroark on the bench that has, like, minimal damage on it or something. Or maybe it has 100. I can't really tell. It's hard with those dice. It made those Worlds dice way too small. He's just going to Distill Blast again, discarding even more non-water cards. And by non-water, I mean non-water energy cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 3 is 210. That is exact knockout. Ooh, boy. Alright, he just did 210 and took his first 2 prizes of the game. Unfortunately for John, if I were him, I would have scooped on the last knockout I took, because there's no recovering from that now. You only have the one Gyarados in play. You don't even have another backup attacker after that. I'm already at 2 prizes. You're not taking that many. So I promote Lele. I apologize for me rubbing my eyes. I am that tired and they're itchy. So, looks like I have another Guzma play. So I'm going to attach the fighting energy to the Lycanroc as I said I was going to do. Oh, no. I multi-switch. Oh, I'm dirty. I'm dirty. So I promote the Lele multi-switch and take an Energy Drive knockout. Just to preserve my trades in case I get let loose or judged and I'm unable to like do whatever. I don't even know why. This is just kind of cheeky. So it's like pretty much anything I do wins me the game at this point. John just has Marshadow and and Vulpix. I have one prize. If you know you're losing the next turn, just scoop up your cards and go to the next game. Save time. Especially in top cut scenario, you want to make sure you have as many turns as possible because you have to be up on prizes. And the Gyarados deck does take a little bit to get going, so it tends to be behind the first couple turns of the game. And then afterwards, it starts taking bigger knockouts, and then it can race ahead fast. So it looks like he just attaches a water energy. I Ace Rolla. I put up Zoroark, and I ride a speeding. So that is game 2, guys. This is top cut, so game 3 has to finish. We are at 54 minutes into the video, and this, I believe it's 1 hour rounds, I guess, so. Or no. Maybe it was 50 minutes, and we... Yeah, because it took a few minutes for us to start. Nah, it's got to be like 60-minute rounds. I don't know. I don't remember. Alright, so we're shuffling up for game 3. Now the thing is, game 3 is going to start, and we're going to only get a couple turns in before time is called. So in top cut scenarios, when time is called, you have your 3 turns just like always, but it does go by prizes. So, we are both equally likely to be able to take the first prize. John is going first, so he is more likely to be able to take a prize lead early. Because he can knock out like my Zora or whatever it is I start with. If I start Lele in this scenario, I pretty much lose. That would be really bad. Especially if I can't move it after the first turn. Yeah, because if I start Lele, and then, but I have 2 Pokemon, so you know I don't have Lele. Because if I had Lele, I would have started 1 Pokemon and kept Lele in my hand, because that's smart. Looks like John starts Marshadow. So that's actually really huge for me. That is his worst starter in the deck, so he cannot let loose me now. I know at this point he's only playing 1 Marshadow, because I've essentially seen his entire deck. I know what multiple counts of the cards are. I think he's only playing like 2 Crasher Wake, maybe 1. He's gonna Crasher Wake and Nest Ball again, just like his turn 1, game 1. The really bad thing about this is the Crasher Wake makes you discard 2 water, right? Your hand is really small, so I think John needs to get another supporter if he doesn't have one already. If he doesn't have like a Cynthia or Erica in his hand now, I think that he needs to grab one of those off the Crasher Wake while setting up. So I think you can get like Vulpix and... Yeah, well, you could get Magikarp and then just get the Vulpix the next turn, right? I don't know. No, I would get the Vulpix now, because then I knock out the... Well, he's going first. Now I'd get the Magikarp. I would get a Magikarp out now. This doesn't really matter. Yeah. So it looks like he grabs the Brooklet Hill. Again, grabbing the Brooklet Hill with Crasher Wake in order to grab the Magikarp thins the deck of an extra card, because now the Brooklet Hill isn't in there. And that's something the Gyarados deck really wants to do. It really wants to thin the deck of cards that are not water energy, so that you always hit the highest numbers possible with Distilled Blast. So looks like he shuffles up. He's got 2 little Carpy boys on the bench now. I did tell him, I think after the game, I think he should be playing one of the non-ability Magikarps. Just one. The other three can be the submerged ones that protect themselves on the bench from things like Tapu Koko. But Bell of Silence is a card on Chimecho, and that does prevent um, ability Pokemon from coming into play from your hand. So he is playing things like Nest Ball, which do put the Magikarp straight to the bench, same with Brooklet Hill. But if he draws into one of his Magikarp, he would not be able to play it down. So if he was playing one of the non-ability one, he could draw into that one and be able to bench it under Bell of Silence. And the Gyarados also does not have an ability, so it would make Bell of Silence pretty much impactless in this game. Bell of Silence is actually just a really good card. I basically called the Straight Psychic Malamar deck Chimecho for that reason. As you saw round 2, Chimecho did put in a lot of work against me. So it looks like I Cynthia instead of Elm. I do not have an Elm turn, so that is actually pretty big for my opponent, Jonboy here. He's going to attach a Water Energy to his Magikarp, and he's going to Brooklet Hill for the Vulpix, and he's going to almost instantly realize that he misplayed and did not attach the energy to his active again in order to retreat into the Vulpix and Beacon. So, pretty unfortunate for Jonboy that he's made the mistake not once but twice in the same match. And that's not something that I will let him take back, because I am a jerk and I've lost too many games and too many tournaments to not calling my opponents out on things like this. So I'm sorry, John. I don't care if you're my friend. Not in Top Cut. Maybe in Swiss. Not in Top Cut. So he does go in, shuffles, has me cut, then plays the timer ball, spending even more time. We are so dangerously close to time, or potentially already are in it. I'm not entirely sure. We're at 1 hour into the video, so we are probably like a minute away from time, I would say. We did start like, I guess, 3 minutes into 2 minutes into the video, so we probably got another 2 minutes left. So John's going to timer ball for Gyarados. I don't believe... Well, no, he can evolve this turn, right? Yeah. Yeah, because you put the Magikarps down last turn. So he's going to evolve into Gyarados, and he's going to pass. I really think he should have attached to his active so he could retreat it and Beacon. So I use the Brooklet Hill for Rockruff. Rockruff's the only thing I can Brooklet Hill for. So like in the scenario where if I was Jonboy, I would wait after playing like a draw card in order to use the Brooklet Hill to like see what I get. So I could, if I got Magikarp, I could get Vulpix. If I got Vulpix, I could get Magikarp with it, you know. It also increases my chances of drawing into the Magikarp, so I would do it like in that order. But for Zoroark, right here, Rockruff is the only thing I could get, and I want to increase my chances of drawing not Rockruff, so I'm going to do that before playing my draw supporter. So it's a little situational on which way you want to do it. You really have to think before you do any sort of play like that. So we do get Zoroark DCE off of a trade, or maybe before the trade. I Bloodthirsty Eyes, bring up the Magikarp. We're going to go right in for that same exact play we did last time, which is kill the Magikarps as they come out. Make sure that they do not stick to the board long enough to become a Gyarados. He has 1 Gyarados in play right now. It's really unfortunate for John right here, because his ideal... yeah, and as you can see, I do this thing, which means that its turns. So I think my turn might have been turn 0. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe this one is turn 0. I could go back and check, but I'm too tired. I don't care. So he is going to put down Magikarp. He's going to Timer Ball. He's going to fail it, it looks like fail to be able to use it because he flipped Double Tails. He has a Vulpix in his hand. I don't think you want to bench it. I don't think it matters though. I'm already up 1 prize. He needs to knock me out this turn in order to go up on prizes, and then hope that I don't get full bench Kukui Devoured Field, which is actually kind of unlikely in my current situation, especially if he knocks out the Zoroark. So he does get another Magikarp. So now, even if I do the Guzma knockout Magikarp play, he does have the ability to evolve the other one, which isn't as good for me, but actually with the current situation with time, I am going to Guzma knockout Magikarp if I can, and then I have 2 other targets of Vulpix and Marshadow that I can pick off as well. So as long as he whiffs the knockout on the Zoroark, I should win. And it looks like he only hits 1, so that is 60 damage. And he discards a ton of resources. So that's super good for me. So I draw. As you can see, I'm a little excited. I do my fancy Doraru thing. I mean, I didn't say it like that. I'm not Yugi Moto. But, do like the little like wrist flick over the mat thing when I get excited, so I'm sorry. I get another Zoroark, I trade again. I want to fill my bench Kukui Devoured Field right now. Either that, if I can't, I want to put Lycanroc into play or get Guzma DCE so that I can kill off one of the Magikarps. So it looks like I Ultra Ball. I'm probably going for the Lycanroc, so I discard double Elm. Super good. Never want to hold on to those Elms. They're completely useless. And here comes Lycanroc. Lycanroc's going to bring up a Magikarp. I'm going to knock that out with Riotous Beating, and I'm going to be ahead by 2 prizes. So then, if John whiffs the knockout on Zoroark, I straight up win. There's no recovering. If he knocks out my Zoroark, I think he's turn 3. So if he manages to knock out my Zoroark on turn 3, that means it goes to first prize taken. So whoever breaks the tie first, which is most likely going to be me because of my setup. But I could whiff stuff, so you never know. I do know for a fact, I'm fairly certain I have all of the cards to win. Okay, this is turn 2, so John is turn 3. So I am correct, okay. So here we go. Yeah, I mark turn 2 with the dice. I always like to do that, if I can. And I Riotous Beating, so I'm up 2 prizes. It's a little unfortunate I have the 60 damage on my active Zoroark, but it is so early in the game. It is so unlikely that he's going to take a one-shot. He needs, so 6. Hang on, let me do the math. So he's got 3, 6. So he needs either 5 water energy or he needs choice band. Wait, no. Okay, he needs either 4 energy off the top or he needs 3 energy off the top with a choice band attached. Which is actually doable. But we're hoping. So John's counting. He's counting how many he needs. So he does need 4 water energy off of this attack off the top. Ready? 1, 2, 2. So he only has 2 water energy. On turn 3 of time. And we shake hands. And I win. Buy prizes. So thank you guys for watching this ridiculously long video. Thanks for sticking in with me. It is now like 1 a.m. My time recording this. I'm absolutely insane. I kind of want to record the top 4 match now, but I'm going to go to bed before I pass out. So that's how you beat Gyarados, guys. Zoroark, I would say, is 50-50 with this deck, only because of how clunky Gyarados is. Fun fact, my friend Alex, from round 2, he was playing Gyarados at the side events in Collinsville. He was bodying people left and right, except he lost a Gyarados mirror. And then my friend Fire Guy, Ho-Oh Guy, Anthony Bruno, he was playing Blacephalon inside events, and he actually managed to beat Gyarados. The Gyarados that beat my friend's Gyarados. Yeah, my friend Bruno. Oh man, he beat the pants off of Gyarados. It whiffed a knockout on a Naganadel, and it won him the game. I hit it for 120. It has 130 HP. It's pretty great. Yeah, he went in for a burst GX. He hard retreated the Blacephalon after that into a Naganadel. Used the Naganadel to knock out the Alolan Vulpix. So he went down to 4 prizes. Gyarados then whiffed the knockout on the Naganadel, hit it for 120. That Naganadel hit him for 80. He knocks out that Naganadel. Then after revealing like 6 water energies, so overkill. Second Naganadel comes up, hits it for 80. That dies. He puts up Gyarados. Gyarados knocks out that Naganadel. Next Naganadel goes up. Turning point 160, knocks that Gyarados out. And then Bruno goes 3 Blacephalon into, 2 more Blacephalon into play, still with the 1 on the bench. And then triple Beast Ring in 1 turn, which gave him the resources to be able to just win. So he goes 1 Mind Blown, and then another Gyarados comes up, it knocks that out. And then second Blacephalon comes up, Mind Blown, win the game. So that's how you play that matchup too, if you guys are curious. Blacephalon is pretty powerful. But that's it for this video. I will see you guys next time for top 4. I believe it's Ultra Necrozma versus Zapdos. So that should be an interesting match for you guys. So I'll see you then.